Good morning, my SmackDown brother.
Let me talk to you.
Come on, man. I'm so hyped. You have no idea, dog. Like I'm chilling right now, but I'm hyped.
Oh, actually, I do have an idea because I had a hard time sleeping last night. I feel like it's one of first day of school. You got your outfit lined out, your fresh fit lined out on the sofa.
Hey, hold on, though. I really got my outfit lined out, though, bro. I'm just
hey. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what we're not going to do is pretend that we're not ready for the situation. Is all I'm saying.
Come on, man.
Let's go.
I'm excited, brother. But I'm also excited to talk to you about all things Cowboys. So good morning. Appreciate you, as always, for joining us.
Oh, man, it's always love. This is the best thing I do.
Yeah. So I started this thing off talking about Tony Pollard, and you're hilarious because I sent you the questions, right, that we were going to talk about. And let's jump into the mailbag. Let's do it. And I purposely did this because sometimes my brothers have to feel this nonsense that I have to deal with sometimes, right? And you do on Twitter. You definitely do.
Regularly.
For sure, right? But then sometimes, when you're live with it, it can be a bit challenging. So I want to challenge you a little bit, okay? I want to challenge you a little bit. First question in our mailbag comes from Cowboys Mania 3108, okay? He says, why would the Cowboys keep Pollard when he's proven a major problem, in part preventing the Cowboys from reaching the ultimate twofold goal, which is the Super Bowl, and then win the Super Bowl title with running back Derrick Henry, who is available and brings the best chance of achieving the same goal? So, Pat, why would they bring back the major problem in Tony Pollard? What's going on here?
Well, let me approach this in two parts. First of all, it's like I said to you in the text reply. I was completely unaware that Tony Pollard was the Antichrist. I did not know that Tony Pollard was the reason that the Cowboys lost against the Green Bay Packers. He wasn't, by the way. He was actually one of the positive things, one of the few positives. I was unaware that, the season went down the toilet because of Pollard, and I didn't know that Pollard blew games. That all went over my head. Let's be honest, okay? Because I don't much respect to the guy who asked that question.
Appreciate the question, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if there's something personal there, that Pollard's still your girlfriend. I don't know. But my thing when it comes to Pollard is, and I wrote this in a couple of science labs during the season, my problem wasn't with Pollard being playing poorly. It was that he wasn't excelling, right? So he was middling is what I called it. He was par. Now, obviously, he was coming off of the devastating leg injury, so it took him several weeks to kind of find his mojo, get himself going. Now, also keep in mind, running game is a two-part situation. Yep. What do you have up front? You have your offensive line first. They have to block. They have to play with chemistry. And then your running back has to do the rest. Now, when your offensive line is struggling, the bigger onus is on the running back to make sure that those things are masked, that those mistakes are masked, that those deficiencies are masked. That's where Tony Pollard was deficient over the first several weeks because, again, returning from his major leg injury. Now, when you look at the merry-go-round, the carousel of injuries that happened week one, you don't have Tyler Smith, and then finally week three you get Tyler Smith, but you're losing three other starters, and so it went. It wasn't until the back end of the season that you started to see more continuity on the offensive line, and you started to see Pollard start believing in himself because there's the mental aspect of returning from a major injury, as we all know. When those two things started to happen, you started to see more of Tony Pollard that you would love to have confidence in. Now, let me qualify that. Does that mean I'm saying that Tony Pollard was the same Tony Pollard from 22-21? Absolutely not. No. Because I'm also on record as saying that although Pollard in December, and this was me speaking in December, I said although Pollard is finding his way, finding his legs, he's not the same explosive back. And I believe that's because he's not designed to be RB1. Now, let's go to the second part of that question. Derrick Henry, I'm in. Lock, stock, and barrel. Anyone who follows me on Twitter, anyone who listens to Cowboys Break, anyone who checks out the scientific method with my man William Steele knows I am in on Derrick Henry. So I'm with you on that one, brother. Bring in Derrick Henry because I believe that Pollard is not the issue. I am with re-signing Pollard, but only if the plan is to relegate him back to RB2 where he was explosive tandem him with a big bully boy back like Derrick Henry, and I think you have a winning formula there. If you handle it that way, I'm completely fine with having Pollard back. However, if you're re-signing Pollard with the goal of entering this season with the same plan of making him RB1, then just let him walk.
Yep.
Just let him walk to force you to rethink your strategy. That's my answer to that question. Pollard's not the Antichrist here. You got to look at it contextually. So I love to have him back, but as an RB2.
Yeah, and another part of that context, I think, is the offensive line, and the running scheme. If that improves as well, then no matter who's back there, they're probably going to improve, even if that is said Tony Pollard or, Derrick Henry, who, for whatever reason, him buying a house in Dallas has gotten a lot of fans riled up, Pat. But there is a caveat to that I think the rest of the fan base should know if they don't know by now. But if you could elaborate on why that technically is not a big deal for a Cowboys Henry type of situation.
Well, when it comes to Derrick Henry, he already had a house in Dallas.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not that he's never lived in Dallas before and suddenly he's purchasing real estate in Dallas. He's already been a Dallas resident. Okay, so him getting a new house, that would be no different from me moving from the house I'm in to another house. And that's not a headline because guess what? I've already been living in Dallas. So that, when it comes to Derrick Henry getting a new home in Dallas, just remember when you're reading that headline to consider the fact that he already had an older home in Dallas. All he's doing is paying a moving company to take him somewhere with more square footage. That's all. But he's not new to Dallas. He's already been here. Now, does that make it easier for the Cowboys in a potential package that they send to him? Sure, because they don't have to talk about relocation. It's just, hey, you're already here, right? So, yes, in real life, that does make it a little bit easier when you're making the pitch to him. But don't use that headline as some standalone item to say, oh, this means Derrick Henry is coming here. It does not mean. I wish it did, if you heard my first answer. I wish it did. But that's not how this works.
No.
That's not how any of this works.
Let's stay on point here with the running backs. Other question came from David on Twitter. He says, say the Cowboys sign a back like Zach Moss or Tony Pollard. Who are the backs in the draft you'd pair our free agent signing with? So if they sign Zach, if they sign TP, who are some of the names you have so far in your draft study that you'd pair those guys with?
You know what I love about this particular question? It's because it attacks the Zach Moss question the same way I did on Twitter about a week or so ago. There were some saying, well, do you replace or do you get Zach Moss in here to tandem him with Tony Pollard? And my answer was no. Like, why would you do that? That's no different from now I get it, Zach Moss has, shown a bit more ability than Rico Dowdle, whom I love, but it's still a similar skill set. And then if you replace Pollard with Zach Moss, which is what this fan is potentially suggesting, I'm fine with that because it's a lateral move. But again, you can't make that move with the intention of making Zach Moss your RB1 any more than you should be looking to make or keep Tony Pollard as your RB1. So love that aspect of the question, 100%. Going to whom I would look at, first and foremost, I would not look in the first or second round for the running back, especially considering what is happening outside of the draft. You don't know yet if Tyron Smith is coming back. Maybe now your need for offensive tackle just skyrocketed in the first round. You don't know if Tyler Biadasz is coming back, so you have a situation at center you might need to address. We all know the issue at linebacker. So I'm a big proponent of signing a whale of a free agent, someone like a Bobby Wagner, maybe even kick the tires on Eric Hendricks, but also tandeming that with a premium pick at linebacker. Does that mean second round? Does that mean third round? I'm fine either way. So when it comes to running backs, I'm not looking at your running back situation until you get to the fourth round, okay? So Jonathan Brooks, I love him. He's a top guy on my board, but he's going before the fourth round. I think we can all agree on that, right? Now, the same could be said for Jalen Wright in Tennessee. We'll see how that plays. But my list for fourth round, late third round picks start to go at like Blake Corum. And I know nowadays when you say Michigan, the fan base starts to kind of dry heave a little bit. I get it. Blake Corum is an absolute workhorse, though. I love him. But outside of Corum, my problem with Corum is I would like a little bit more size because I'm talking about a big bully back. Yeah. So my eyes, and I have guys like Trey Benson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Irvin is an option, but Bucky Irvin, I'm a fan of what he does with the ball in his hands. I'm not a fan of him in pass protection, and this is a pass-heavy all. But give me a guy like Audric Estime. It's something about Audric Estime. Shouts out to the Fighting Irish, because I know the Notre Dame fans out there are popping bottles at me saying this right now. But I would absolutely love what Audric Estime brings to this table. So is he as big physically as Derrick Henry? No. Who is? Literally. Who? As far as physical stature. But when it comes to how he plays very Henry-esque. He's powerful. He hits the lanes hard. He's difficult to take down at the second level, the third level. So, you have names like that, and Ray Davis, he's another one out of Kentucky. But I'm really circling a guy like Audric Estime as kind of one of my top, late day 2, early day 3 picks. But outside of that,
yeah, let me jump in here for you, because the phone is kind of breaking up just a little bit, but I think we still got you, Pat. You still on?
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay, gotcha. Audric Estime it makes perfect sense to me because of the power. I think he took a little bit of a hit because his 40 was extremely slow, and I think he doesn't play with that long.
I don't need him to be the home run hitter. If you keep Pollard at RB2, you have a home run hitter. If you get Zach Moss at RB2, you have a home run hitter. What I need is a short yardage, do the dirty work, do the heavy lifting, take those hits off of Tony Pollard, which allows him to be the change of pace back. That's what I need, and that's why Estime is so intriguing.
I understand. What I was getting at, though, was that the 40, to me, I'm not really docking it much because of, if you look at the rest of what he did, the broad jump and the vertical was explosive. So that shows you that he still is an athlete. He's not going to have long speed, so I'm not really worried about that too much if you just want a 1-2 punch bruiser. A couple other guys I have on my list here, Braylon Allen could be another choice. I like Marshawn Lloyd. If you want kind of a blend of speed and power, Isaac Guerendo is very sneaky because he's a 6 foot, 223 pound back, 6'1", I think, actually, but he ran a 4.3, but his tape shows that he's physical. So, and these are guys maybe, you can get on day 3 in regards to Lloyd and Guerendo, and maybe even Allen, if people don't like, his tape as much as others. But there's a sneaky one. And this dude is definitely day 3. He might even go undrafted free agent. I promise y'all I'm not doing this because his last name is Steele. But the UCLA running back, Carson Steele, goes 6 foot, 223 pounds, physical back. I think he's just kind of hitting the tip of the iceberg right now for a guy because I think he transferred to UCLA and was really productive. I think he has some burst to him. I think he runs downhill. And we're talking about all these guys that we want to compliment, right? I think he would compliment say a Zach Moss or Tony Pollard in the backfield. But there's a lot of them, I think, in this draft. I just hope, Pat, that we don't pass on it I think the Cowboys passed on it last year. And I love the story for Deuce Vaughn. But I don't think Deuce Vaughn made sense given you already had Tony Pollard here and you needed to tandem him. So I just hope they learn their lesson in the fact that, like you said, don't treat TP as this workhorse number 1 back. Use the blueprints you had for the last 2 seasons between like Zeke and TP doing the tandem. So if they do that, I think there's a handful of them in this draft, Pat.
There's most certainly. And again, I'm all with, and this conversation isn't to preclude potentially adding someone like Derrick Henry. Again, I'm all in on that lock, stock, and barrel. See what you can, discuss with Saquon Barkley. But when it comes to doing that in addition to drafting the back, like that's the magic formula for me, right? So I love Lloyd, what he brings out of SC, Steele, UCLA. And honestly, I think Marshawn is, because all of the hype goes to Caleb Williams, obviously Heisman Trophy winner. Look at what Marshawn was able to do in that backfield. Like,
man,
he's a problem.
He's asleep.
And I'll also even go against my own thing because the Cowboys do not draft or sign former Georgia players. But I'll put it out there for putting it out there. Kendall Milton, right? We're talking about big power backs, right? Guys who can, not only get small through the initial A, B, and C gap, but also when it's time to go toe-to-toe with a linebacker, they can put a linebacker on their ass. They can make a cornerback kind of miss in space. Kendall Milton is a good late day 3 pick who might fall into undrafted free agency, although I don't think he should because his combine was really, really freaking solid. But all of that is to say, Steele, that to your point, there is an abundance of high-level day 2 and day 3, including even late day 3 talent that I think could come in and even if not immediately, let's say not immediately, let's say even as recently or as soon as year 2, can come in and be your RB1, which means, yes, you would need your RB1 for 2024. And again, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, which is more expensive, Saquon Barkley. But figure out RB1 between free agency and the draft. I say you combo those two things. Hey, by all means, keep Tony Pollard, but keep him on the 2021 plan, the 2022 plan. We've seen in the post-league era, he's just not that RB1. And that's not a knock to him. Some people just excel at what they excel at, and when you bring them into something else, they kind of struggle. So get him back to what he was excelling at. It's going to be a lower price, should be more team-friendly. I don't see what the problem would be there as long as you handle it correctly from both the front office and a coaching standpoint.
Well said, man. Well said. Before I let you go, what you're looking forward to most, and I think I already know, but I want to hear you say, what are you looking forward to most tonight at SmackDown? Cowboys Nation will be there at AAC. What you looking forward to?
Finally.
Yeah.
Your lives have meaning.
Yo, hold on, bro. He killed it last week.
Killed it. I'm sorry, folks, but the whole get back to smoking your
crackhead Karens, meth head Marys.
Crackhead Karens. I'm just going to go ahead and I know in advance, Cowboys fans, The Rock is going to use the Cowboys against us. Hey,
yes.
It's fair game. What can you do? But as much as I love Cody, and someone asked me this on Twitter, they were like, well, are you Cody or are you The Rock? Because they've seen me cheering Cody on prior to now. I'm absolutely Cody, but it's The Rock over everything. So that's where we are. But I will say tonight, Dallas, Cody is in the building. The Rock is in the building. The whole bloodline is in the building. Seth is in the building. They're all going to confront each other in the squared circle, and we will be in the building. I cannot be more excited, man. Let's go.
I'm fired up. I'll be hitting you up when I get there, bro. Appreciate you, fam.
Same, bro. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.